We've turned one of history's most terrifying warlords into a Halloween costume. If you think you know the true story of Vlad the Impaler, you are dead wrong. You picture a pale count in a velvet cape, drinking blood in a Gothic castle, turning into a bat. Forget the Hollywood garbage. The truth is far more terrifying and drenched in real human blood. He wasn't a vampire. He was a warlord, a psychological terrorist, a prince who understood one brutal, unforgiving truth. In a world surrounded by empires that want to crush you, fear is your only currency. Welcome to the 15th century. Eastern Europe is a meat grinder. The Ottoman Empire is an unstoppable tidal wave of conquest, swallowing kingdoms whole. They have the numbers, they have the technology, they have the momentum, and standing directly in their path, a tiny, fractured, insignificant state called Wallachia. To survive, Wallachia didn't need a politician. They didn't need a saint. They needed a monster. His name was Vlad III, Vlad Dracula, son of the dragon, and he was about to paint the world red. He didn't hide in the shadows. He didn't bite necks in the dark. He dragged his enemies out into the blinding daylight and put them on display. Imagine it, looking out over the horizon and seeing 20,000 rotting corpses suspended in the air, a literal forest of death, buzzing with flies and reeking of decay, designed specifically to break the mind of the greatest army on earth. But how does a man become this? How does a prince look at a field of impaled bodies and see victory? The answer isn't supernatural. It is deeply, horrifyingly human, because monsters aren't born in the dark. They are forged. The year is 1442. Vlad is just a boy, 11 years old, and his first lesson in politics is the ultimate betrayal. His own father hands him over to the Ottoman Sultan as a political hostage, a human shield to guarantee peace. Imagine being ripped from your home and thrown into the belly of the beast. The Ottoman court at Edirne is a golden cage, beautiful but deadly. For years, Vlad is surrounded by the very enemies who want to conquer his homeland. He isn't learning dark magic. He isn't making deals with the devil. He is getting a masterclass in psychological warfare. He watches the Sultan. He observes the executions. He sees how a massive empire is controlled not just by swords, but by terror. He learns that pain is a language, and he is becoming fluent, while his younger brother, Radu, submits to the Ottomans and becomes a court favorite. Vlad resists. He stews in his hatred. He refuses to bow. He is beaten, whipped, and hardened into iron. Then the news arrives. His father has been assassinated by rival nobles. His older brother, blinded with red-hot pokers and buried alive. In that moment, the boy dies. The prince realizes a cold, brutal truth about the world. You are either the victim or you are the executioner. There is no middle ground. To reclaim his throne, he can't just fight the nobles. He has to break them. When the Ottomans finally release him, they think they are sending back a puppet, a broken young man they can control. They couldn't be more wrong. Vlad doesn't return to Wallachia as a boy. He returns as a weapon of mass destruction, and his revenge is going to be spectacular. Vlad reclaims the throne of Wallachia. His first order of business? Cleaning house. He invites the nobles who plotted against his family to an Easter feast. It doesn't end with dessert. It ends with a bloodbath. The old elites are slaughtered, and their bodies are put on spikes outside the city walls. He establishes order through absolute terror. In his kingdom, there is no minor offense. Steal a loaf of bread? Impalement. Lie to the prince? Impalement. Crime drops to zero because everyone knows the dragon does not forgive. But the real test is coming. Sultan Mehmed II, the man who conquered Constantinople, demands his tribute. He sends envoys to Wallachia to collect. When the envoys refuse to remove their turbans in Vlad's presence, citing religious custom, Vlad obliges them. He has the turbans nailed directly into their skulls. The message is loud and clear. This is war. Mehmed is furious. He marches on Wallachia with an army of over 100,000 men. Vlad has barely 30,000. A conventional battle is suicide, so Vlad rewrites the rules of engagement. He burns his own villages. He poisons the wells. He leaves nothing but ash and disease for the advancing army. Then comes the night attack at Targovishte. In the dead of night, Vlad leads a suicidal cavalry charge directly into the heart of the massive Ottoman camp. Their target? The Sultan's tent. The goal? Cut off the head of the snake. It is chaos, blood, fire, and screaming in the dark. The assassination fails. Mehmed survives. But the real horror is waiting for the Ottomans the next morning. As Mehmed's army advances toward the capital, they don't find an army waiting for them. They find a forest of 20,000 impaled bodies, Ottoman prisoners, men, women, and children, suspended in the air, rotting in the summer sun. Even Mehmed, the greatest conqueror of his age, is paralyzed. He looks at this miles-long nightmare, and he breaks. He orders his army to retreat, because how do you defeat a man who has already thrown away his humanity? Vlad has done the impossible. He has stopped the greatest empire on earth dead in its tracks. But victory is an illusion. In the Game of Thrones, heroes are just pawns. The Ottomans realize they don't need to defeat Vlad on the battlefield. They just need to divide his people. They release their secret weapon. Radu the Handsome, Vlad's own younger brother. Radu arrives not with an army, but with Ottoman gold. He buys the loyalty of the Wallachian nobles who survived Vlad's brutal purges. He offers them peace, wealth, and an end to the terror. Betrayed by his own blood and his own nobles, Vlad is forced to flee. He turns to his only remaining ally, Matthias Corvinus, the king of Hungary. Vlad travels to the Hungarian court, desperate for reinforcements. He expects a hero's welcome. Instead, he walks directly into a trap. Corvinus is a politician. He has been taking money from the Pope to fight a crusade, but he has no intention of actually fighting the Ottomans. Vlad is a liability, a loose cannon who might start a war Corvinus can't win. So the Hungarian king does what politicians do best. He lies. He forges letters claiming Vlad is conspiring with the Ottomans. He brands the savior of Eastern Europe a traitor. Without a trial, Vlad is thrown into a dungeon. The dragon is locked in a cage. For 12 agonizing years, the man who terrified empires rots in the dark. His kingdom is stolen. His name is dragged through the mud. But the fire inside him doesn't die. It mutates. Guards report that even in his cell, Vlad hasn't lost his touch. He catches rats and small birds that wander into the dungeon and impales them on tiny makeshift wooden spikes. The warlord is still there, waiting, because a dragon cannot be caged forever. 12 years pass. The geopolitical winds shift. King Matthias Corvinus finally realizes he made a catastrophic mistake. The Ottomans are pushing deeper into Europe, and the Hungarians are losing. He needs a weapon. He needs the dragon. In 1476, Vlad is released from his cage. He marches back into Wallachia and reclaims his throne for the third and final time, but he is stepping into a graveyard. His loyalists are dead. His army is a fraction of its former strength, and the Ottomans are waiting. Just months after his return, Vlad rides into battle one last time. The details of his death are shrouded in mystery and betrayal. Some say he was overwhelmed by Ottoman forces. Others say he was assassinated by his own men, bribed by the nobles he once terrorized. But the end result is the same. The dragon falls. To prove that the nightmare was truly over, his head is severed. It is preserved in a jar of honey, sent to Constantinople, and displayed on a spike for the Sultan to see. The man who impaled the world finally met the same fate. But the real tragedy of Vlad the Impaler isn't how he died, it's how he is remembered. History is written by the survivors, and Vlad left a lot of powerful enemies behind. The Hungarian court and the church launched a massive smear campaign. They printed pamphlets exaggerating his crimes. They invented rumors about him drinking blood and eating flesh. 400 years later, an Irish author named Bram Stoker stumbled upon the name Dracula. And just like that, the psychological terrorist was erased, replaced by a romanticized caped vampire, the ultimate insult. Vlad wasn't a supernatural demon, he was a product of his environment, a traumatized boy forged in the fires of an empire who decided that the only way to fight monsters was to become a bigger one. You can call him a villain, you can call him a butcher, but remember this, in a world that wanted to erase his people from the map, Vlad the Impaler made damn sure they survived.